Hello, everybody, and welcome to View to an All-Star. And today, our special guest that I'm really looking forward to is my friend Jay Busselle. Jay is the co-founder of Branded Merch Network, amongst many other things that you'll hear from him today. So, Jay, welcome, and it's great to
Thank you.
have you here. Great to see you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thrilled to be here. Thank you, Mark. It's an exciting time.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And Jay, you are clearly an experienced and subject matter expert and well known in the branded merch and apparel side of the business. Many of my viewers and friends and followers are not as familiar with that as they are with
Hmm.
things related to print or packaging, because that's typically more of my legacy. So, if you don't mind, maybe if you could give us just a kind of a quick run through on your history in branded
Oh
merch
my
and
God.
apparel and
Sure.
and then, kind of what you're doing these days, what Branded Merch Network is, and some of the things maybe that are happening in your business or you see from the perspective
Hmm.
of your business this year, I think would be very helpful for the audience.
Well, thank you again. Thanks for giving me a chance. Appreciate that. So, I'm not going to go too far back into history. I was a high schooler who took advantage of I would say similar to a vocational program. It wasn't really Votech school, but we had this little track and I was lucky enough to sweet talk my way into a graphics program. And that's where I learned to print my first business cards and I printed my first t-shirt. And we actually had a hands-on operational thing. So from that day, I was like, what? People do this for a living? I'm like, I'm all in. This is the coolest thing ever. You can print your own, brochure or your own business cards. You can print your own t-shirts. Like, why would you do anything else? Like, it literally was a lightning bolt moment for me. So that was a 16-year-old who learned a lot of really important copyright law lessons around 17 of what you should and shouldn't sell. I think you can understand where I'm going with that. My favorite bands, my favorite ski resorts, my favorite skateboarding companies, and so on and so forth. So after a few important letters and a few important lessons, I, started to hone my craft a little bit. But that led me to a family business, which started as a screen printing company and a promotional product advertising company. We were early pioneers in putting those two things together. Most people were either one or the other. You were either a decorator and doing apparel decoration, like a screen printer or an embroiderer, or you were in promo and you considered yourself, a broker or a promotional products distributor. I don't love the word distributor, but that seems to still be sticking to what everybody called it. So I grew up in print, promo, and apparel, Mark, and I don't know that I grew up because I still don't consider myself a grown up, and everyone who knows me knows that. So it's led me to a lot of really fun, meaningful work along the way. Having some important titles and some not important titles, and staying hungry and staying humble, but having a lot of fun along the way. And it's led me to become an all-star with you. I would not have known you probably. We met literally because of this program. So it's those types of things that are so fun and so meaningful. And I think in a world where you can find information about anything from anyone. AI can give you all of the answers, and internet gives you all of the ideas. I have found literally that events like the Printing United Alliance event called Expo, the Printing United Expo, it brings something different. It brings you the moments that you were missing. And so moments like getting to meet you and several of the other all-stars has been a highlight. So a little about the Branded Merch Network. It is literally an opportunity for us to have I like to position it as, instead of a stage, we like to create the table, meaning a lot of associations have a stage, and it's physically and metaphorically. They have a big stage, they have a big audience, and they're kind of telling you what to do. And there may be a keynote speaker or somebody semi-famous, and they're saying, do X, Y, and Z. That's kind of the stage. And it's important. And I'm not bashing stages, we need them. But I don't want to be one. And so what I would rather do is, I think when we create a meaningful table, we have better discussions and we are more creative, and it allows us to be more collaborative, and we kind of let our guards down and we become more vulnerable. And as you know, if you're listening to a speaker on a stage, you're just doing one thing, you're listening. Whereas if you're at a table and you're communicating and you're talking, it's a back and forth, it's a give and take. And so we think, my co-founder and I think that the Branded Merch Network is positioning itself to do these kinds of projects where we have these types of fun conversations, similar to what you and I are doing literally right now today. And so we do have events and we do have a newsletter and we do have this crazy cast of fun characters who are kind of the beating heart of all things branding, all things merch, a lot of promo. And now we have to get into print because you can't just be one dimensional, Mark. That's so boring. That's so 2010.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. And it branded merch network. I'm sure you understood this, 3 or 4 years ago when you started it, but the timing couldn't be better for something like this right now with everything happening with the various, as you mentioned, conversions. And sounds
Mhm.
like you started that a long time ago before anyone knew what conversions was. You were already out
Well,
there.
I'd love to take credit for that, but the folks previously, we remember back when we used to call it SGIA,
Mhm.
there were many times when I was banging on that drum, and I don't think anyone heard me. I was just that crazy kid in the corner saying, "Mark, it's like we're at this cool family reunion with your cousins, and you haven't seen them in a while, and it's like you think they're dysfunctional cousins, but they're just in print, or you think they're dysfunctional cousins, they're just focused in promo or apparel." But we're really, really similar in so many ways. And I was always banging on that drum that, we're not that different.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, with all the work we're doing right now, the three kind of pillars that we saw early on were three connectors. One was the sustainability issue that was connecting those three segments,
Yes.
print, promo, and apparel. The other was AI. We're all trying to figure out AI. So that's another similar common denominator. And then there's always just the branding element of it, the marketing side of it, and the sales side. How do we become better salespeople, marketers, and branders in those three areas? And so those are kind of the common denominators that you'll find at Branded Merch Network.
Yeah, interesting perspective, Jay. And it's amazing how all that is coming together. Customer driven, from my perspective, it's customers, clients, particularly on marketing, in corporate marketing today or small business marketing.
Hmm.
They don't have time to do a lot of things, and you don't, and companies can't afford to hire specialists. So they want to find one or two people that they can trust with all of these various things as it relates to
Right.
their marketing and branding, and they don't want to have to go to a specialist for six different projects and try and make that all work together. And they look for
Exactly.
someone like you to make it work for them. So on that note, you've been doing this for a long time, Jay. You've seen a lot of changes over the years,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
some for the better, and hopefully most for the
Yeah,
better.
right.
Sure, some not. But I'm curious your perspective, because you're out there on the front lines and you hear and speak with a lot of different people. What do you see as either new, interesting, unexpected as it relates to branded merchandise in 2026? Or is it just back to the future again?
No, no, I do think there are some emerging ideas, some core focus points, and I think that the biggest one, which spills over again into all three of our, if we have that same dysfunctional family reunion, the cousins have all agreed that that experiential marketing is having its breakthrough moment. Now, we've always done it, and maybe we didn't call it by that name or gave it that term, but I'm seeing this literally everywhere and now at a much higher level with Fortune 100 companies, consumer to direct, are really embracing and leaning in. So what does that look like? So having an event, Coca-Cola wants to have an event, or the best one, we just had a podcast on this, which was Coachella. At the Coachella um, festival, a very popular brand, which is a brand internally. So if you think of Bella Canvas is somebody that will be exhibiting at the Printing United Expo, for example. Bella Canvas is a huge producer of blank t-shirts and other substrates, mostly t-shirts, apparel items like, hoodies, sweats, etc. So they had a huge merchandise tent with Coachella, the event producers, and they created almost like a time capsule or a museum. And they were able to kind of pull from all of the designs and imagery that were on apparel over the last 19 years and then let everybody kind of walk through to see the previous year's designs, the t-shirts, the graphics, the bands, everybody was there. And so it was like this really cool curated museum of apparel. But in addition to that, they knew that they wanted to create an interactive moment. So they did that and they had the opportunity for you, for me, Mark, as attendees to go in and be co-creators of our own apparel, meaning we could take out a Bella canvas blank, we could pick a graphic and we could choose the location, and then they would create that on the spot on demand. And so
Cool.
that to me is the not just the future, because it's already here. We've been doing versions of this. When I say we, I mean our industry has been doing versions of this for years, but it's at a breakthrough pace of attraction, and it's creating really what I call moments. It's giving an event a moment because the participation factor goes through the roof, and you're no longer just giving swag to someone who didn't ask for it, who may not like that color, who may not like headwear, or it doesn't fit well, or they don't like the graphic, or why would I be a walking billboard for the Printing United Expo? Like, don't make me merch that says Printing United Expo. Give me something that I actually want, that I would actually keep, wear,
Yeah.
use, etc. So these activations, these print on demand moments, these experiential marketing where we can co-create something live with people, that is for me, as you can tell, I get animated, I get pretty fired up. I'm like ready to roll. Let's do this, Mark.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. And just on a side note, I can't remember if you and I in previous conversations talked about this, but you brought up Coachella, and just by coincidence, my wife and I were on vacation at in Rancho Mirage, California, so pretty close to Indio, and we were at one of
Yes.
the hotels where a lot of those people were staying. So I
Oh,
think we
yep.
saw a lot of the targeted audience
You
for Coachella.
definitely did. You definitely did. Yeah, great timing. I know. And here's what something feedback on Coachella, really cool, specifically from our podcast. We were able to interview one of the makers who was in charge of helping to co-create the event. And she said it blew her away to see the generational shift of people that attended 15 years ago as adults are now coming back with their kids, and they're having that nostalgic moment where they say, "Oh my God, remember 2010? That was when so and so was here performing. That was our first one, or 2019 was my first Coachella, and that's the first T-shirt I ever." So there's these anchor points, and I think that that's one of the things that print and promo and apparel do so well is that we create the memory, we create the moment in a tactile, physical way that digital media doesn't always get. So that's our advantage, Mark. We got something physical that people actually want and keep and use.
Yeah, it ties together with the whole thing about authenticity and not having to discern fake from reality. And
Mm-hmm.
something printed in my hand. I never saw a pop-up ad appear on it in the middle of while I was looking at it.
There you
I was
go.
never disturbed like that. So I think all these things come together, and to me, it's nothing less than a great opportunity for everyone in print and promo and apparel. It's equally a great opportunity for all, and it's a trend that I think should be embraced because, most
Oh
importantly,
yeah.
the clients are the ones who want this. They're
Exactly
driving
right.
it.
Exactly right. I mean, huge dedicated. There are full-scale hat bars in Austin and Dallas where you can go in with headwear or cowboy hats and have a completely custom experience. Like retail has embraced this. There are so many retail collabs right now that I could mention. Nike has embraced this. Formula One has embraced this. I mean, I can tell you, I don't want to bore you with the list, but this is not going away, and it's only going to get deeper and richer. And those that can participate in that space are going to level up their game and have a whole new experience, both as a business and as a consumer.
Absolutely. And, for those listeners out there who, for whatever reason, don't think that this is real, that this is really happening, and I'm including my packaging friends who we haven't even talked about as part of this, and we won't, but just to mention that because packaging is part of this as well too. And this is a real event. It's not a future. It's not a prediction. The convergence is market and customer driven. It's happening, like you said, Jay, and in many ways we've been doing this, but now it's really official that this is the way that brands want to, reach their clients in a much more personalized way. And I love hearing stories like this. I guess in many ways it's something I always hoped we would get to, but
Yeah.
You
Well,
can't
you and
spend a
I,
lot of time dreaming, right? You got to make things
nope,
happen.
you gotta
So,
sometimes you gotta go do the work. Well, luckily you and I have lasted on the island of misfit toys long enough that we're seeing this convergence, right? We were young lads when we first picked up that squeegee or first got our little whiff of some ink, right? So it's fun for us. It's fun for me to see something that I thought was a big deal 15 years ago really start to shine now. And not just to brag about. There's nothing to brag about. It's like it's an infinite opportunity. I mean,
yes,
every brand has a chance to change their marketing tone from, hey, I'm here to interrupt you and sell you something you didn't really want, to say, Mark, tell me about your hobbies. What are you really into? And then somehow create an experience for you that's meaningful for you, that then deploys either print, promo, or apparel as the anchor point or as the bridge. So we get to
yes,
cross through that journey together with something that is meaningful, and then it anchors that. So to me, every t-shirt I have is like a time traveling piece of magic. I mean, you probably have apparel you kept or headwear or something because it was about the concert you went to, or it was about the event that you attended, or it was something very meaningful to you, maybe a family tradition or a family trip or something. And so all of that merchandise and it's not just merch, it's promo, it's print, it's all of it, I think highlights the meaningfulness of our human existence. And we tend to forget that. Let's just be real.
yeah, amen. I mean, just what a perfect way to describe that. And I would only add to, and you alluded to the fact that this is not limited to just the big Fortune 100 and the Nikes and people
No.
like that. This is, if anything, small businesses and emerging businesses and specialty businesses and boutique businesses. They're embracing
Yes.
this, and in many ways have even a bigger need for this than the big players do. Would you agree with that?
An enthusiastic hell yeah, I would. I mean, it just is like it's the equalizer.
Yeah.
That's the truth, is that you don't have to be Nike or Coachella or Reebok or Lego or Formula One or Coca-Cola or any of the look, Liquid Death. I got my favorite little branding exercise right in front of me. These guys are bananas and crazy and relevant and irreverent in all the right ways. So a small brand can come out, revolutionized water, revolutionized the distribution of it, the meaning of it. Liquid Death, give me a break. Case study, it's perfect. And then so any brand small enough can say we can break the mold, we can be different, we can create an experience that is meaningful to our audience, meaningful to those that we want to connect with. And I think the big mistake is to not go for it,
Yeah.
to not try it. How and follow me on LinkedIn if you want to know more about that. But it's not a commercial for me. I'm so impassioned and so invigorated and so charged up with this opportunity that I think literally it's going to be a generational effect. This is something that's not going to go away. This is something that's going to get bigger and better and be more specific and more meaningful for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, I agree, Jay. And you express it well, and your passion is literally jumps off the screen. So I no
Okay, I'm going
no
to breathe.
shortage
I
of
need to
that.
stay calm. I need to channel my
No,
calmness
no,
here.
no, no. Quite the contrary. Just I think it's awesome. And so kind of as one way to tie all that together is, as you said mentioned before, the way we met was through the Printing United
Mhm.
Expo All Star team and being having the honor of being named to it for both of us. And you, last year, I remember you were clearly one of the most active people amongst the all stars of
Mm.
at the show, and you're always making something or at some type of event that was processing something or doing something. And so, if you don't mind, and I know we're still a couple months out, but what's your take on Printing United, having all of this under one roof? Just how does your audience see that? And then, are
Mm.
there any plans, ideas, or thoughts that you have about the show this year that you would like to express to the audience?
Well, I mean, let's start with just the fact that Printing United Expo and the leadership there, they're embracing this. They are leading in this space. They are trying to make it obvious to everyone that this is not just a relevant show. This is something that changes the direction or could change the direction of your team and your business. So what it does for me is, first of all, from a broad scale, from a kind of pullback view, is to say events like this give us something different. And it gives us these moments that I think we crave. I'm never one to shy away from the emotionalness of a great event. And if you do it right, you will have a great event. But what happens as attendees, a lot of times we think we are supposed to consume what they're supposed to perform for us. And I think you have just as much of a responsibility as an attendee to make the most of this and to go all in. And so by that I mean I look at it like Printing United has created this really cool house for us. And right now more than ever, there's lots of little fun rooms. There's a print room and a packaging room, and there's a promo room, and there's an apparel room, and all of these cool rooms. And it's up to us to go discover and explore and get involved in that because we'll learn more. We'll get introductions like meeting the one and only Mark Pomerantz. We'll be gifted enough, lifted up enough to have an unexpected connection like ours. But yet that's where the magic happens. And so that is what gets me started is this excitement of Printing United gets to see this, the expo bringing everybody together. And let me stop and pause and say, I've spent my career in branded merch, print, apparel decoration, and the future belongs to the people that are willing to cross these lines right now. And so that's why I love how Printing United Expo is trying proactively to send out this message that promo and print and apparel are not separate worlds anymore. And it's up to us as leaders, as whether you want to call yourself a thought leader or an ambassador or an influencer, and there's a bunch of words that we may not like, but an all-star, it's all bringing us to this experience. And so for me, I don't want to just walk a show. I want to participate in it. And that's why you saw me so busy. Like, there's so many little heart pulls and things you want to do that you don't always get time to do, but make the time to do something you wouldn't normally do. Make the time to get a little uncomfortable in something that's different or fresh or unique. Like experience that for a second and go learn something from somebody. Because I think that's really a challenge is we often make a mistake and not just we show up at a show and think we're here to collect info, right? Like it's like, well, the internet does that. Why would you even go to a show if that's all you're going to do is go by a booth and say, scan my badge, scan my badge. Don't send me any catalogs, but scan my badge. It's such a lame way to experience. I'm just going to say it. It's a lame, tired. Just retire that thought process and then start to have conversations and ask better questions and turn this
Yes.
event into a meaningful, like, like it may not be about the equipment. Mark, let's be honest, it may not be about a shiny new big machine. Now, of course, the exhibitors want it to be about that. And the salespeople that are staffing those booths are definitely trying to sell you something, no doubt, but help create the conversation and turn this into a more of a discovery, like be part explorer, part discoverer. And by that, I mean, don't forget the people because the people share the ideas. That's where you can participate first. Maybe that big, shiny $500,000 machine isn't for you and you're never going to buy one. But that doesn't mean that talking with that person isn't going to unlock some fresh idea or confirm something that you had been thinking about for a couple years now. So anyway, you got me on my soapbox about how great this event is and how busy it can be. So be careful because it can be busy. And the next thing you know, it's midnight and you're still like, whoa, where did the time go?
Yeah. And you're in
Um,
Las Vegas at the same time. So yeah, that's the
Correct. So yeah, put some guardrails on it, people.
yeah,
Let's, be a professional, be an adult,
yeah.
wear comfortable shoes and give yourself a curfew time and stick
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, and Jay, gosh, there's so many great nuggets in that. There's probably about three previews just in that one response you just gave. But you did jog my thought process from a conversation I had yesterday with someone about why they should go to the show and why some people feel they don't need to go because they already have all the equipment they need or this or
Mhm.
that. But like you were saying, go because you're part of an industry and you can contribute. And by the
That's
way,
right.
so don't sit at home and just throw rocks or comments at people, right? Yeah, go there and as you said, go to a booth, talk to the people, contribute, let them know what your business is doing so that they can learn and be better service providers and OEM providers and software providers and so on. And hey, by the way, kind of like you said, you might bump into people in the aisles, in the bar, in the on the bus on the way to the show,
Yeah.
and you get to know people. And how many times have you hear a story of I bumped into this guy and I learned something that I never knew before, and I ended
A
up being
hundred
friends
percent.
with this guy or this woman or
Hundred
whatever. You
percent.
know, how many times? And so participate, like you said, just not going obviously is nothing. And then if you go, don't be passive. People are there, yes, as you said, they're there to sell you things, but at the same time, having stood in those booths, I was there to
Same.
hear what people had to say. I wanted
Hundred
to
percent.
hear, tell me about it, tell me about what's happening in your business, tell me about what's not happening in your business. Help educate me because you're the expert on that. I'm not. And let's not forget that
Love that.
they people in the booths might be experts on what they have, but they're not really experts on your business. You are.
N- That's right. I love that. I love how you phrase that. I 100% agree. You and I are completely on the same page. All of it, all of that. And you know what, Mark, forgive me for being this guy, but you know what? I have yet to meet somebody who's learned it all. Okay. So if you're
Right.
going to be that smug and
Yeah.
say, oh, why should I even go to the show because I have all the equipment I have? I don't need anything. It's like, you don't need anything. Your business lacks nothing. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, boy, I guess you really have arrived. So to me, it's also an opportunity to give back. It's also an
Yes.
opportunity to help the next generation. And by that, I mean, my kids are now all adults. One of them is, two of them are kind of connected to our industry. The others are like running away from it, right? Um, but to figure out how can I make the magic happen for someone that's, 10 years younger than me, 20 years younger than me, 40 years younger than me? How can I have that conversation? What seeds can I plant? Mentorship, there's magic and power in mentoring. And I was lucky enough to be mentored. And so now, that's one of the things that the promo side has actually done a really good job. I don't know if I've talked to you about Promo Kitchen. Promo Kitchen is an all volunteer mentoring program. And it's mostly, well, it started 15 years ago, just out of the promo, side of the business, the people that are engaged in promotional products and branded merch. But it's starting to, cross over a little bit, and it's starting to, like I said, like all things converge over. And so that's an opportunity for us, 100% volunteer, Mark, to have people that can mentor the next generation. And it's
Absolutely.
100% free. It's all volunteer. And so that those mentorship moments, those meaningful give back moments, can happen in a hallway, right? Like the conversation in a hallway. Remember, we talked about these cool, fun rooms. Well, in between those rooms are these cool, fun hallways. And sometimes it's a mixer. Sometimes it's just bumping into somebody in the line. It's these unexpected connections that can be so, so meaningful and for both parties, right? Like for you and but for also the person that you're standing next to. So I'm a big believer in that, and I can't. You're gonna have to shut me up because I will
Yeah.
continue to talk on that topic until.
Well, what you're saying really is, show up. Don't just be there by showing up. Show up and contribute. And that's, I
Correct.
mean, I think, like you said, we're all making a living from this industry. Many of us have been in it for a long time. I hopefully all of us want to see it go forward in the future, and don't shirk your own responsibilities as being
Correct.
part of it.
Correct.
It's a
And be
community, and the more we can do, the better. The more we can collaborate, the better it's going to be for the next generations coming up. And that's ultimately we should all want that.
Well, and we all have something to gain and learn. So let's take it back to instead of just rah 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 help the next generation, which I believe in. We're also there to learn. There's great education. There's great formal education and informal education
Yes.
in the booth education and from a stage education, and so there are industry experts and there are other folks brought in that are non-industry but still experts at something like AI. Like if you've learned everything that we need to learn about AI that's going to help make your business successful, it's like then you should be the guy or you should be the gal on stage, right? Like so I don't know. I just look at it like this amazing opportunity to help turn what is a very large event. Let's not kid ourselves. It's 3 days. It's really 4 days, if you want my opinion, and it's huge. And
Yeah.
so I think it's our job, Mark, as all stars. It's maybe I haven't been given any official uh, your mission statement, should you choose to accept it or not. But I think our goal is to help break down the expo experience to make it a little simpler. And so
Yes.
maybe you and I are the guides, 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 not guys. We are guys, but we're the guides. We're there at the sign at the intersection to say, here, let me help you find some of your people. Let me help create and start a conversation and then turn you loose with somebody else, that we can kind of help foster that environment because I think that's what this does. I think that's All Stars as ambassadors and whatever you want to call ourselves. We help create the connection. We help initiate the moment, but then say, good luck. So what do you think, Mark? Maybe this whole thing is preparing us to be, those folks at the airports, like when I travel in and out of Phoenix about too often, that were wearing these cool purple jackets that say "Ask Me." Like
Yeah.
maybe that's what we get to do after this, right? We get to be those. What do you call those people? The information specialist. I don't know. They
Concierge
have a
or
title. Concierge sounds great. Yeah, we'll take that one.
yeah. Yeah, I'll take that too. It's a great place. And Jay, you summarize all of that so well. You got me excited, quite honestly, about the show and what we do as All Stars. And I think you really summarized the brilliance behind the concept of putting it together. And, I could spend a whole 15 minutes talking about that, but I think you did a fine job of that. And,
Oh,
and I agree that
thank you.
we're kind of like a catalyst. We bring
Mhm.
points or people together and then we kind of get out of the way and let it happen and I love doing that and you obviously do a great job of that. So on that note, between now and the show and the event,
Mhm.
between now and Printing United Expo in September, how can people, because I can tell you a lot of people are going to hear you, Jay, and they're going to say, I want to get in touch with this guy. So where can they find you? Where can they find Branded Merch Network? Are you on podcasts? And then that's would be number one. And number two, do you have anything planned at this point for the show? Are you going to be in the ASI booth? Or are you going to be in any particular area? Maybe you can give us some guidance on that as well too.
Well, yeah. So thanks again for the chance, first of all, Mark. I think what you're doing is brilliant. You stepped up. You were the leader. You were the true pioneer here to say, let's talk to all of these all stars and see what they're doing, what they're excited and what this show means to them. And so, thank you for the opportunity. That was such a great idea you had, and I'm enthusiastically accepting your challenge to, you know, figure out between now and then, what should we consider, what should we plan for. So let me go back a half a step and just say before I tell you where you can find me, which is pretty easy, but don't just come looking for products. If you're coming to the show, come looking for possibilities. That's kind of my thing. Don't look for products, look for possibilities because
I
there's a
love that.
there's a killer idea standing right next to you. There is somebody literally who solved your problem that's in line at Starbucks. And if you would just open your mouth and be a little bit less guarded and just be like, I need to meet more people, then the show becomes about the people and not about the stuff that's in the booth. And so the best thing that I discover at Printing United Expo is changing the way I think and being a little bit more pliable and a little bit more flexible. I don't have all the answers. So let me say that right up front. Don't consider myself a guru. I don't consider myself an expert. I consider myself someone curious and humble enough to say, let's figure it out. Let's find out.
Yeah,
Let's, I don't know, right? Like, let's go discover that. So that's what gets me jacked up about these types of events and Printing United Expo specifically. As for me, if you really want to find me, LinkedIn is easy. My name, Jay Busselle, Busselle. Look me up on LinkedIn. And as it relates to the Branded Merch Network, come visit us at thebrandedmerchnetwork.com and you'll see a variety of fun shows, podcasts, rather than me be the face of all the podcasts, which that would be weird. We're creating for others. We're trying to make sure that this is more of that table I was talking about. So we have people that are passionate about print, or people that are passionate about apparel. One of my favorites is right now is called the Collab Connection. So we have a
yeah.
podcast that's just talking about all of the collaborations that are happening. My co-founder and I started this, Jeff Solomon and I started this because just as COVID was happening, I was super hyper just annoyed with how all of the brands that I considered, great were stuck and they refused to ship or pivot. And I kept getting sales flyers and the same kind of communication. And anyone that was in the email blast industry, I was like, shame on you. You're still email blasting the same crap you were last year, this year. Like nothing changed for you, like no new perspective, really. And so my friend Jeff Solomon was kind of doing that. And he had a business that was previously called freepromotips.com. And I said, brother, I love you, man. I've known you for 20 years. You're part of the freaking problem. He goes, what do you mean? I go, quit blasting all of this crap. Nobody wants sales flyers to find out that XYZ product is on sale or it comes in 7 colors or, it's got a shiny attachment or it collates or whatever, right? Like, have a more human conversation. He's like, oh, I'd love to do that. But I was like, dude, if we just talked about whatever and had tacos, that would be more informative and fun. And he was like, okay, let's do it. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, let's have that. Let's do the tacos with Jay and Jeff show. Like, oh, all right, I better put my mouth money where my mouth is or put my tacos where my mouth is. So that was kind of the journey to a lot of this. And if you don't know me personally, you'll know that I do have a little bit of a aficionado for the taco. It is a container of greatness, Mark. They are the bridge to happiness. The more you have, the happier you'll be. So I consider myself a taco freak and I embrace that fully. The good news is we're not just talking about tacos anymore on the Branded Merch Network. So come join us, come visit, hang out, see if there's something on the buffet table that you like. And if you do, whether you're a supplier or an exhibitor or a distributor or a printer or a marketer, we're looking for like-minded colleagues. We're looking for the passionate ones who are willing to, push these ideas forward and make an impact. So
Yeah.
come join us.
Game changers. Yeah, absolutely. Of which you are one, Jay. I'm glad to know you. I really thank you for your passionate sharing of all of your knowledge and perspective and info and
My
fun today.
pleasure.
I am so glad you brought up taco because I didn't know how to ask you and I didn't want to say, so Jay, where does the taco come from?
Yeah,
But
where are the
so
taco? Oh, there's stuff back here. You can't look right up there. There
yeah.
they are. Somebody sent me a Tyrannosaurus Rex that happens to be a taco holder. I'm getting all kinds of taco goodness now. It's so fun. So,
Yeah, and you're
um,
fortunate to live in a place like Arizona where you can
there you
get good
go.
tacos every
There you
day. And,
go. It helps.
I live in Georgia, and it's definitely not one of the strengths in our foodie network, that's for sure. So
Uh,
uh,
well, listen, when we're in Vegas together, let's go have some tacos, my friend.
that's a deal. Definitely going to do that. So,
Love it.
Jay, thanks again. This has not only been educational and enlightening for everyone watching, definitely for me, but very enjoyable, like every encounter I have with you. So I appreciate it very much. Thanks again for your time, and I really look
My
forward to
pleasure.
seeing you this year in Las Vegas.
Can't wait. Can't wait. See you then.